Hello everyone, it's Benjamin Zamish, author of Creating Freedom and the founder of Move, Learn, Create, and welcome back to the Manic Serenity, where I am helping people to become more receptive to the magic that is available to them, available to you, available to us as human beings in this life and here as a part of this unbelievable creation. So this is episode number 25, and this is just a wonderful topic. I had so much fun creating this, and I'm very excited to share this with you. We're going to talk about emergent complexity through minimalism. I promise it's not as complicated as that title may sound, but it was the only real way to describe what it is here that is happening in the life process. So just to start it out and to set some context, how many of you have been touched in some way, or maybe swept up completely by the minimalism trend? Maybe you've read the book or seen the documentaries or watched one of the millions of YouTube videos that I'm sure are out there. I recently read a really great post on Quora about minimalism. I was very impressed, but it was hilarious. At one point, the author mentioned minimalist backpacks, where you can get these really stripped down, super minimal backpacks, like the iPhone of backpacks, aesthetically speaking, so that you just look phenomenal while you're wearing one of your 7 backpacks that you have to own, because they only serve one very specific purpose, and one complex backpack, that would just be too much, right? So obviously, in some junctures and at some places, we've lost the actual point and purpose of minimalism. As with everything, people get carried away with it, and at some junctures we go a little bit crazy. But I've been into the minimalist thing without really realizing it or defining it for quite a long time. I think I just started throwing away things that I don't use, everything, and actually at some points really deliberately going back and discarding everything that I had, like photo albums, things that were just locked up in boxes and chest places, and found that this was an extremely powerful and extremely cathartic experience, and gave me a whole new appreciation for my past and my life, and some of the times that I went through in so many different ways, which is all part of the process of bringing your life to a point where you can say, that it's minimal, that you have stripped it down to the basics and freed up the space necessary to channel your energy into other areas. My last apartment was like 620 square feet, and I moved into a different section of the building because it was just a little too big. I just didn't need that much. I don't have a couch. My living room is books and 2 yoga mats. So definitely this is a part of my life, and I think about how, for instance, like the Spartans, how they lived and how they trained to help fuel and channel and focus all of their energy into this one goal of becoming the world's most elite warriors, or how, for instance, Mahatma Gandhi, when he died, had like less than 10 possessions to his name. I mean, the leader of a country, someone who transformed the world in an incredible way, had less than 10 possessions. So obviously there's something to be said about this, and it's worth looking into. And if something's worth looking into, let's really look at it all the way and see what is the fundamental truth here, and how we can kind of harness that power and bring it into our lives to effectuate a profound transformation, rather than just looking at this as a novelty, or, like I used the word at the beginning, a trend. Let's actually look at the truth here, and let's see why it's serving people in so many ways. So to segue into my perspective on it, I think my favorite, perhaps a little out of the way reference to this came in, I'm 90% sure that this is where I read it. I'm not going to check, but I'm almost positive that it was in Michael Roach's book, How Yoga Works. And Michael thank you for that book. A beautiful, beautiful, incredibly uniquely written take on yoga and the transformational power of the practice. And he set it up and delivered it so beautifully. I was very surprised and delighted by reading through that. And thank you to Sandy who gave me that book. But I remember this point, and I was so affected by it, where he quoted from the Bible, cleanliness is next to godliness. And I think a lot of us have heard that, right? That's something that our parents, revert back to when our room is dirty or whatever. And he explained it in this beautiful way, and I'll try to paraphrase what he was trying to communicate. I don't remember exactly how he said it, but essentially he was drawing attention to the fact that, so when we say godliness, when we say God, we're talking about the source of creation, the source of everything, the source that must be within us, not something separate from us, but something that we have perhaps separated ourselves from, which is to say, we have a potential connection to it. We have a channel to it. It is within us. When I talk about our latent potential, our unexpressed possibility, I'm talking about something that's already within us, and we've just done things to kind of, block the road, block access, to sever the connection from something that lies within us. It's not that it's outside of us and that we have to go find it out there. It's just that we have to do the work to clear those channels so that it can express itself through us. And so he said, he mentioned and illustrated in all these ways that, let's say you have a storage unit somewhere, or let's say you have a closet in your house that you never open, and it's filled with all of these things that you never look at. Perhaps years go by and you never look at them, and you don't consciously think about this. There's just stuff there. You know it's there, but you don't consciously think about it. But if you were under great duress, if you were being pressed for whatever reason to list out everything that you had, you would be able to pull it from your memory. It's there. It's taking up space, It's taking up space of some kind, right? You have a limited amount of space within you to work with, and that is being consumed by all of these things that do not serve us. So in essence, it's dirty. It's making our internal space dirty. So what he's saying is that the cleanliness, which is next to godliness, is a statement about clearing the unnecessary, mess from our lives and from our interiority, so that we can give more access and create more space for us to strive and work with and open up new parts of ourselves in order to allow something greater to express through us. And I think that's a really, really beautiful take, a really wonderful perspective, very profound, and I was blessed to read that. And I feel like that understanding is kind of like the bridge to the clear perspective on the true power and potential of what we're calling as a trend, this minimalism thing, which really isn't being taken seriously enough by most participants, I would say, not because they're not following through with the practice. I think a lot of them are following through, like with the backpack situation. They're following through, over and above, much further than I am, definitely, but not because of that they're not fully experiencing the potential power here, but because they aren't really acknowledging and taking ownership of the leverage that it can actually provide for you in enhancing the human experience and bringing, so much more leverage and so much more potency into your efforts and into your intentions as you go through this journey of seeking to become, more than you are right now. So let's get right into it now. Why minimalism? Now that we've set the stage, why minimalism according to Benjamin? So obviously we're going to start by talking about an oak tree. Think about an oak tree, just for a second, humor me, in all of its magnificent, one-of-a-kind splendor, never to be repeated, a unique individual expressed just somehow effortlessly, pulling all of these vital nutrients and energies from all these different parts of the creation and somehow becoming this expression of life out of a single acorn. One single acorn. And how does the acorn know that it's in the ground in the first place? By the way, I'm always thinking about that. But the key here is that life only needs a very simple pattern. Okay, it's not that the whole tree is inside the acorn. It's not. But an oak tree can only grow from that acorn. You will never get something different, and you will never get two of the same. And this is a beautiful reflection and very vivid and obvious and ubiquitous representation of this fundamental truth about the way that the creation functions. You only need a very, very simple pattern of expression, but it has to be a complete pattern. A complete pattern connected to the force of creation, the power of life, the thing that we experience within us as desire, the thing that's pushing us. When that expresses through a fixed pattern, no matter how simple, no matter how small, become through the magic of life, it's truly a miracle. Everything that is life is a miracle because it's inexplicable. It truly is beyond the limits of our ability to comprehend. You can experience it. You can bring yourself and bring your system to a place where you can experience this magic can become a living reality for you, but it will never be something that you can wrap your intellect around because it's just outside. It's beyond the boundaries of the mind that we're using to try to break everything apart and understand life in this way. So there are so many examples of this. Everything that is life is just a unique example of this one universal energy and force expressing itself through so many unique patterns. And I actually looked it up. The most extreme example of this that I could find, the smallest seed in the world. So there are these certain epiphytic orchids, which is to say they are orchids that grow in other plants. They grow up in trees. So they're in the tropical rainforest, and the seeds weigh 35 millionths of an ounce. 35 millionths. It's smaller than a dust particle. That are floating in the air, and then they rest in the right situation, the right environment for it, and somehow life takes something so minute and expresses through it, and it turns into a beautiful orchid, which then produces more, and it just continues to go out as more and more and more life expresses through this unfathomably small carrier for this energetic pattern. This is minimalism. I mean, think about that. That's insane. That is insane that life can make that happen. So now then, think of a human being, the most complex form of life, the most complex mechanism, the most complex and phenomenal carrier of this life energy that we know of in the entire creation that we know of, right? This was built. You grew in all your unimaginable complexity. I mean, just too much going on in this physical system alone to even begin to think about all at once. It's too much. And this grew out of an egg that was 0.12 millimeters across and a sperm cell that was 10,000 times smaller than that. Human being, right? This, my friends, is the power of minimalism. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about stripping down everything but what is necessary for life to express itself in its most pure form. For you to connect with the fundamental patterns of creation within yourself that allow life to do its magic, to get out of its way. right? Because life doesn't need your closets filled with, unused sale items and closets full of old souvenirs and whatever else. Your chests and drawers filled with the wardrobe for the different seasons based on whatever look came out in a catalog this year. These things are not fulfilling you because these things are not they're not aligned in any way with what the life within you is trying to do. And it's trying to express itself in the miraculous ways that are being displayed in all of these very simple, very limited forms that we're surrounded by. Okay? So, and actually, not only is, our collections of whatever it is that we cling to, not only is that not serving us and not fulfilling us, but it's directly getting in the way. Life is directly impeded by these things, by our attachment to all of these things. The same life that used the union of that sperm in that cell to make your form is now, that very same life that did that is now trying to create new universes, new worlds of creation through you, through the form which it created. Okay? And the same life that created the oak tree, the same life that created that orchid that we talked about, the same life that created every unique form in this world that will never be seen again, as unique as you are. This is the thing that is manifesting itself within you as want, as need, as that desire that I'm always talking about, the awareness of this unexpressed potential that is pushing us and driving us to seek more. Do you understand where I'm pointing at here? It's life. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just that we have so many ways to create all of these permutations to our patterns of creation. We can attach ourselves to 1,000 different things in the day, and it just becomes so muddled that nothing beautiful is ever able to express. Not because we don't have the capacity, or not because we're not as talented or gifted as the next person who's creating some, kind of magic that we're touched by, but just that we haven't done the work to strip away what is not needed. Everything that is needed is already here. You're going to go out and come up with something in your mind more phenomenal than life's ability to express a human being out of a single cell? This power is still working through you. We just have to get out of its way. So minimalism isn't about a look. It's not about making yourself feel better by getting rid of excess, even though that will happen. You will free up more space in your emotional capacity, more space in your mental, more cognitive bandwidth. You might have heard people talk about. All of these things will happen, but it's not essentially about that. It's about getting in touch with the primary unobstructed patterns of creation that are within you so that you can consciously allow this life to express itself through you and emerge into something phenomenal, something that will be everything but minimal, a true emergent complexity into this world, into this creation, through you as a co-creator, because you have understood and then aligned yourself with the fundamental mechanics of this creation so that you can consciously evolve further into the human possibility. These are all just little pieces of that mission and that one and only worthy goal of making ourselves available to what it is that's being offered to us, which is what we're doing here. So the reason that Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven was like a mustard seed, and the reason that long before that, in the yogic culture, Adiyogi, and in the Yoga Sutras, and in Zen Buddhism also, they actually use the same reference of a mustard seed, that the whole universe can be packed into a mustard seed. This is because the entire cosmos, the kingdom of heaven, this is an experience that emerges through a pattern. So when I say that when you can perceive the primary pattern within a mustard seed, you will know and see the entire universe. It's the same thing. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about using our intellect and observing the way life is functioning to grant us access to an experience within the rest of our being that is beyond the boundaries of that intellect, to enter the gates and experience the kingdom of heaven. It's not esoteric. It's not it's not even the word mystical. The word mystical just means to see what's there. But there's so few people that can see what's there that it sounds extravagant, and definitely is prone to ridicule by those who are unwilling to just look and see that actually it's something very simple that we're talking about. It's just that we have so much nonsense that we're clinging to that we need to strip away to allow us to have access to that perception and that experience that is definitely just sitting in all of us, waiting for us to grab a hold of it. So the reason that the whole new universes are not springing out of you, as I said earlier, the same force, the same life, the same desire that created you without any effort of yours, of anyone's. It just created you naturally when the right situation happened in the right pieces of life. So simple. When those came together, life just made this happen. And now it's here. And here you are as this unbelievable organism with no limit on what it can do and what it can create. You can create now your own patterns for life to express itself and emerge into the world. You can create new universes. You can create, new things that go on and live on their own and beget new worlds of their own, far beyond the limits of what you can perceive right now. And the reason that it's not is because all of our ideas and our likes and our dislikes and our prejudices and judgments and beliefs and all of that nonsense is standing in between the source of that power, the source of that life, and the part of us which must be aligned with that life in order to grant access, to that power, in order to open up the channels and let it flow out through us. So that's why minimalism. That's why we strip away complexity. Everything else is just a side effect of this practice. All of the benefits that people are looking for in their immediate life, these are so pale and so small in comparison to what the universe is trying to do through you, because the universe doesn't need your cognitive bandwidth and your increased emotional stability or whatever to create something fantastic. What it needs is for you to get all of your nonsense out of its way and let it do its thing. Because look at what it has done. Look at what it is doing in every moment. And of course, it's trying to continue this process through you right now. So, what in the world could we strive to do? What could be more practical than to strip away and do away with all of the things that are not needed, all of the things that are, interfering with the life process, with that continuous miracle that's occurring everywhere, but within our psychological drama that we live within so completely that we actually think it's life. So this is why it is from the minimalists that the most beautiful complexities actually emerge. That is one of the paradoxes of life. That is one of the things that you must understand. You must see this so that you can strive to strip away all distraction. It's not just physical things that are cluttering your space. You have to strip away distraction. You have to remove the unnecessary complexity, the things that we've allowed in that do not serve us, that are not connected to the way we want to be, that are not connected to our higher nature, that don't serve us and allow us to move forward and progress into our values and to become an expression of what it is that we truly are. When we do those things, when we strive in that way, we cause the death of confusion. In so many ways, we cause the death of confusion. We allow our system to begin to align itself completely with life. It's when everything that we thought was comes crashing to an end, and out of that sacred apocalypse, begins a new process, becomes a new kind of clarity which is born within you, and you will naturally turn your life into a daily, relentless practice of striving, this relentless, blissful alignment with the actual mechanics of creation, with the actual way that life is trying to work through you. And you will become that singularity that everyone's looking for. And out of you will emerge the new world that everyone is seeking to create. So thank you so much for joining me for this one. I hope it didn't get too crazy and too out there. I'm doing my best. This is all very new to me, but thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe if you haven't. Go in the description for this video or over to themanicserenity.com, and please sign up for the free tools that I have made available for you. The free Momentum Masterclass, it's like almost 3 hours of free training. Very, very step-by-step practical tools for how to begin, no matter where you're at, no matter what your situation is. You don't have to change anything in your external life, but to have a simple way. I teach you the one-page cheat code. It's with one page. I do this. This is how I started to really turn my life around, to just begin to align yourself from the inside out with what it is that you're truly seeking, to really look at this, look at your own life, to take your life into your hands, to hold it with care, to operate in a way that is sensible, in a way that is serving you and serving the life within you, instead of working so hard against yourself for so long that by the time someone comes along and offers you the truth, you won't let yourself hear it because you've invested too many years into your suffering. These are what the tools are for. Please take advantage of them. After that, read the book. It's free. The Creating Freedom book that I wrote, a whole different aspect, much larger in scale, of the journey of overcoming limitation, breaking boundaries, the exact method that I used to go from homeless, addicted, total broken, shattered, terrible human being in prison for 3 years to living in an experience that I literally cannot put into words. So I did my best to describe exactly what it was that I did in that book, Creating Freedom. It's free. It's like a PDF that I just email you. It's only 70 pages. And then I created a free 3-part course, a mini course to go with that, to help make the method more accessible, to kind of extract the step-by-step methods and the fundamental understandings that are in there so that you can apply them in your life, and just make it a little easier for you to actually take those tools and make them your own. And then, of course, I'm already working on the Manifestation Masterclass to really take it to the next level and show you in the way that just totally changed the game for me, how we are actually creating our experience, how this life is actually moving through us. We know about positive thinking, we know about the law of attraction, we know about all those things, but we are not actually coming to the place where we can completely, deliberately, consciously become masters of our own destiny, really. And I will show you why that is, how that is working, and what you can do, exactly what you can do to align yourself with life in that way. And then, on and on it goes. So thank you for being here. Please take advantage of those tools. Please share this with anyone and everyone who you think might be interested, who it might ignite a spark in them, give them fuel on their journey. Everyone's on a unique journey. Everyone's in a unique struggle. And sometimes we just need a different voice. So pass the voice along, and I will see you next week. Thank you.